Want to learn how to knit or crochet on a budget? Let's learn how.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Northern Yarn Arts. Today I am going to take you into a thrift store. Thrift stores, when you're starting out, are a great place to buy knitting needles, crochet hooks. Sometimes you can get some yarn. Unfortunately, they don't always have sizes on them. The sizes wear off, or the markings wear off as time goes on, and so I'm going to show you how to size your needles and your hooks and how to pick out good yarn. And I'm going to teach you how to use one of these little things. Best tool ever. So let's go in and we'll find out what they've got for yarn and hooks, needles. Look what I found. Pop quiz based on what we learned in the other video about telling knit from crochet. What do you think this is? Notice the clusters of stitches rather than visible single stitches with the V's or the bars. If you said crochet, you are correct. These are crocheted washcloths that I found at the thrift store. So I managed to find quite a few sets of knitting needles and crochet hooks here. $2.99 to $3.99 for a number of pairs, which if you're buying them new in the store, you'd probably be looking at $5 a pair or more, depending on how fancy you get. Now, I'm going to show you how to use this little stitch gauge here, stitch gauge and needle sizer. Here, so you take the end of your knitting needle or your crochet hook and you just start sticking them in the holes. So this one goes into a 5, but it does not go into a 4. So the last size that it fits into, that is the size that the knitting needle is. Very handy if you've got some that are missing numbers, or if you buy a set like this, then you can make sure that, okay, yes, they are in fact all the same sizes. You're not getting two different sizes, because that's going to make your rows going back and forth for knitting a little bit different. Now moving on to yarns and what kind of yarns to get. They actually had quite a few yarns here at this thrift store. When you were starting out, there are some yarns that you should be avoiding. This yarn here, it's a little harder to see, but there we go. You can see that it's not spun quite as tightly. That's going to split on you and cause problems. Avoid anything like that is not wound as tightly. This one here has a lot of texture to it. Avoid anything with lots of texture when you were first starting out, because again, it's going to make it hard to see your stitches. It's going to make it hard to follow along what you're doing. You could drop stitches and not even notice, or miss stitches or not be able to find where you need to put the next stitch for crochet. So avoid those. This one here, okay, secret, if you can, if they're in a bag like this, just poke a little hole so you can feel it. I can feel this. This is not a soft yarn. I'm not going to enjoy knitting or crocheting with that, because it's going to be hours running it through my fingers. That's not going to be enjoyable. If you see labels like these look quite old. Older yarns, quite often you're going to find that labeled like this, that they are a acrylic, and while acrylics nowadays are improved, the older ones, not very nice to work with. They kind of feel gross, and they will end up being quite stiff and not nice to work with again. This one here wouldn't be too bad. Open it up. It's a softer yarn, and it is, let's see if we can get a good view without that light there. It's a bulky yarn, so you can see, well, it's a little harder to see, but it is a thicker yarn. So it's going to knit up or crochet up quite quickly. If you could get some of this stuff, this is for washcloths. Washcloths are an ideal first project because they're small, so you can actually feel that you've made progress through the day. This is something else to avoid for the first a couple projects. This is gonna tangle up. I've worked with this stuff before. All those little flecks are can be quite, they can catch and tangle. And then let's see, finally, this, I'm actually buying this one for a project that I'm working on. But let's see if we can get a good, that's very thin. So that is going to take forever to work up. So you might not want to work with lace weight right away and with the very thin stuff. So if you can see, $4.99 and for 2 balls though, or 4 balls, and $4.99 for 2 big balls of chunky. I just bought some at Walmart. The cheapest they had was $5 for a ball of yarn. So that's actually a really good price. That's going to save me a lot of money between the knitting needles up there and the things of yarn that I'm buying here. I'm going to save quite a bit of money versus buying it brand new. Pop quiz. Knit or crochet? Look, there's V's. And there are, down here, there's some little bars between the V's. That's right, this is knit. So I would call that a very successful trip to the thrift store. I just counted. I got 13 pairs of sets of knitting needles, plus 5 crochet hooks. My daughter was saying that she wants to try regular knitting needles instead of circulars. And since I only have circulars, I figured I'd get her a bunch. I got 2 plus 4, 6 balls of yarn that I have projects I can use them on. As well as this, I'm quite happy about this, a book about knitting. It's got various stitch patterns and the history of various types of knitting, and it's quite thick. It's going to be a fun read. Yes, I'm a geek. As my students would say when I was teaching home ec, I am a bit of a geek when it comes to yarns and stuff like that. Very excited. $36.77. I have been known to spend hundreds of dollars at a yarn store, and even I actually made a hat for someone at work, and the yarn plus the knitting needles. So for one project, came one set of knitting needles plus 2 balls of yarn came out to more than I spent here today at this thrift store. So I'm very happy about it. And now you know a bit more about what to look for when you go out and you're trying to buy your yarn and your knitting needles and things like that for a bit cheaper. Anyways, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
So after watching the video from earlier today, I realized that you could not see what I was doing with this. At least not very well. So I'm going to just quickly go over it again when you can see it. So I've got a couple of knitting needles and crochet hooks that I bought today. So here's one of them. So what I do, there's different numbers there. Those are sizes. Those are knitting needle sizes. And you just poke the needle through the holes until you find the one that it doesn't fit. The one before that, the last one that it fits through nice smoothly, is the size that it is. So this one here is a 10.5. Do the same thing with another one just to make sure. So here's another one, well, smaller, so we can start the smaller sizes. It fits through 6, but it does not fit through 5. So this is size 6 US. And then the same thing can be done with crochet hooks. These crochet hooks, they came in a pack that today, they're double-ended here. But the size on them is numbers. Crochet hooks, a lot of times the patterns are letters. So I'm going to do that with the ends to find out which. So you put the hook part through to just find out which one it is. So this is a D. That end's a D, and this end, that goes up a lot higher, is a J. So check around. check thrift stores, check Gigi, check friends' basements and attics and grandma's house. There are lots of ways to get cheap or free knitting and crochet supplies. This is does not have to be an expensive hobby to start. Just look around. Don't put it off because your budget is tight right now. Leave a comment down below about ways that you think someone could save money when trying to get into into these hobbies. And if there's anything else you want to learn, anything in specific, I've had people say that they'd like to learn how to cast on or cast off with knitting. Got lots of basics that I have planned, but just let me know if you have anything in specific that you would like to learn. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.